I am so excited today because I am getting ready to get out of town, head down to Westchester County and go see a movie that I'm not going to tell you the name of yet because I'm going to talk about it later. Going to meet my friend Audrey, who I often do important things with. Every time we get together, it's like, amazing conversation, and she's my bestie, and or at least one of them. And I'm really looking forward to the day. So I'm going to drive downtown. You could take the boy out of the city, but you can't take the city out of the boy. So I'm going to drive down to Westchester and check out this movie that, for some reason, is an Academy Award-winning film that is on no streaming service. And no streaming services seem to want to pick it up. It's in the theaters right now. It's probably not going to be in the theaters for very long. So, I'm looking forward to seeing it. It's kind of a controversial film, but I think a very important film and a good example of why art really matters and is really crucial to our existence. And I'll talk about it later in the video. So I just wanted to start the video here. I guess this is kind of a vlog in a way, which I don't really do. So I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. You could see my neighborhood a little bit behind me because I'm shooting an F8, so you can see what's behind me and you can't just see my face with a blurry background because that's not really necessary 97.634% of the time. And let's move on and get to the next part of this video. So I'll see you in a minute. So I was gonna take the train today, but I was like, it's less than an hour drive. Like, why am I gonna do that, And actually I saw that the train was like even longer than it was gonna take for me to drive. It's like when you're used to living in the city, you know what I mean? Like when your entire adult driving life has been in the city, you have all this trauma, about parking and moving your car and leaving a good parking space and traffic and all this kind of stuff. So I did like a thing in my head. I used to drive all the time from the Bronx to Brooklyn to get my coconuts every week or every month. I'd buy like a box of 9 coconuts and it would last me about 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks. So anyway, I checked how long does it take to go from Rochambeau Avenue in the Bronx to Kent Avenue in Brooklyn, which was where I used to live in Brooklyn and pretty close to where I got my coconuts, and it was like an hour and 12 minutes. And I was like, it's less time for me to get to this movie today than it was for me to just go from the Bronx to Brooklyn for years. So I was like, you know what, stop. Like, you're not living in the Bronx, you're not driving to Brooklyn, you're going to a place where you can park the car, so just get in the car and drive. So that's what I'm doing. So I was going to take the train, and I am kind of an environmentally conscious person. I know it probably would have been better if I took the train because, I'm not wasting gas, I'm not putting emissions into the air, I'm not raising my carbon footprint, but I am doing all of that today. But in the interest of time, I just wanted to do this because, I also wanted to make this little film for you today. And, getting on the train, I was going to wind up shooting like all the same old stuff that I shoot every time I get on that train going to the city. And even though I wasn't going all the way into the city, I was still going to wind up shooting pretty much the same stuff. And when I get to where I'm going, that's where it's going to be different anyway. So anyway, I decided to drive. So onward we go with this video. This day has been in many ways a day from hell. Even though I got to hang out with Audrey, and I got no footage of her because I'm not like filming people when they don't want to necessarily be filmed, or if they don't know they're being filmed or whatever. I'm not about that, but we hung out, and that's always an incredibly beautiful day to get to be with maybe, like my favorite human. But anyway, we saw a movie called No Other Land, and I had a horrible parking experience. I went to the wrong theater, or I went to the right theater, but I went to the executive offices instead of to the theater. I finally got to the theater, I saw the movie, and it just reminded me, I ain't got no problems. Like, I got no right to complain about anything in my life. I should be grateful for everything in my life. And I want to talk about it. But I'm going to talk about all this other stuff when I get home. I'm going to drive home now, and I'll finish this video later tonight. And I highly recommend every human being with a heart in their body to see No Other Land. It won an Academy Award. It was made by a Palestinian person and an Israeli person together. And trust me when I tell you, you need to see that film. Every human being on this earth at this particular moment in our history needs to see that film. So I'm going to go find myself a black and white cookie right now somewhere. I'm going to go to a place called De Chico's up in Millwood, New York. Then I'm going to drive home, and I'll finish this video later. And, yeah, so. All right, to keep this somewhat consistent, I'm going to just use the Boya shotgun mic on top of the camera, even though I am a little bit further away than I like to be when I'm using that microphone. I'm probably, I don't know, 15 to 18 inches away. I'm shooting with a 28 millimeter f2.8 lens. I'm shooting at f2.8, so there's some blurry background, but not ideal. But I used that microphone this morning, so let's keep it consistent. So today was, in many ways, a day from hell. But it ended in a really interesting way. And so I met my friend Audrey at this restaurant that we chose. Like, we kind of researched it a little bit, or I kind of researched it a little bit. And we chose what we thought was better than a diner because we wanted to have a nice brunch kind of thing, before this movie. And the place actually sucked. It was like worse than bad diner food. And it was pretty expensive for breakfast too. So that was, it was fine because we hung out together, and at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter all that much, but it sucked. So, and we're both kind of nutritionally conscious people. So that was a little disappointing. And, me, I'm like, I really look forward to like good pancakes for breakfast at a place. Like, I used to have a place that made these buckwheat pancakes, and I'm into my nutrition and healthy food, and buckwheat is hard to find. It's hard to find a place that makes good buckwheat pancakes. Like, I make great buckwheat pancakes, but it's hard to find a restaurant that does that. And this place didn't even have buckwheat. They were just regular pancakes, which should be easy. Like, regular pancakes is easy, but they were terrible. So, and Audrey said her food was not great either. So anyway, then we headed to the movie, which was like the whole point of the day was to go to this movie. And we were going to the Jacob Burns Film Center, which is a kind of a subsidiary of Lincoln Center in New York City. This is up in Pleasantville, New York. And I had actually never been to that theater, so I was looking forward to it. And we were going to see this movie called No Other Land. And it recently won the Academy Award for, I think, Best Foreign... I don't know what it won for, to be honest. I didn't watch the Academy Awards, but it won an award. It's a film shot by an Israeli visiting his Palestinian friend. And I didn't really understand how they were friends or how exactly they knew one another, but it was a journalist who went to shoot about the occupation and what was going on in Gaza. And so anyway, when I first got there, first I drove to the wrong theater because the GPS took me to the executive offices of Jacob Burns. And so it was just a couple blocks away, but it was still annoying because I tried to park my car in a lot that was for the executive offices, which would have been fine, actually. It wouldn't have made a difference. But all the machines didn't take cards. Like, it wanted cash. And, like, I don't walk around with cash. And so it wouldn't take my debit card. It wouldn't take a credit card. It wouldn't take any card. It just kept saying, please add the cash. And so, you know, it's pretty close to the starting time for the film. And I'm, like, messing with this. And so then I see that there's an app that they use, but it's not a parking app that I have. I already have a parking app that supposedly works all over the country. So I'm downloading their app. It's taken forever. And then that app is not working. It's not accepting my information. And I'm losing my mind because now the movie started. I texted Audrey. I told her, just go in. I'm going to be late. She went into the movie. I'm fucking around with parking for, 45 minutes. And I'm not trying to get towed. I don't know the area. I'm not trying to get a $100 ticket for parking. And so I got it done. I'm very angry at this point because, I have a lot of parking trauma in my body from living in New York City most of my life. And so that's not a good thing. And it just pissed me off. It's like, you know what? All this technology is supposed to make my life easier, not harder. Just let me swipe a card. Just let me swipe a card. You have these machines that you have an actual card reader on the machine, but you have it disabled. What's up with that? I tried 3 different machines. They decided they only want cash or they want you to use the app. So annoying, incredibly annoying. I get there 10 minutes late. Actually, the women who were working in the theater were complete assholes to me. Like, they were very rude. I was in a hurry. They were trying to get me to wait outside. I kept telling them, look, I'm trying to see the film that started already. And for some reason, this was confusing to them. But anyway, they finally took my money. It was expensive. It was like, I think it was $18 for a ticket to see a movie during the day. So, but I guess that's kind of normal now. And you know what? I don't mind supporting theaters. Film showing in actual physical theaters. So I'm not complaining about that at all, even though, there are like $6 movie nights around here. But anyway, pay the money. I go in. And I'm not happy at this point. I'm kind of like, I could feel my hormones are rising. I'm agitated. My cortisol levels are shooting through the roof. And I walk into the theater, and I was a little nervous because I thought it would be a full theater because no streaming services are picking this movie up, and it's only going to play in theaters for a short time. But I walk in, there's like nobody there. There's probably 10 people in the whole theater. And so I see Audrey. I go down. I sit next to her. These were the most uncomfortable seats I've ever sat in a theater. I couldn't sit still. Maybe it's because I was still upset. I don't know. But I just couldn't sit still the whole time. Then somebody behind me, everybody in the theater is like 143 years old. Somebody's farting their brains out behind me. And not that I could hear it, but I could definitely, it was odoriferous, let's say. And so that was kind of not awesome, but it was just mainly like uncomfortable. Plus we're sitting way down in the front. I don't like sitting in the front of a theater. I'm like having to look up. I don't really understand how you're getting a real perspective of the film sitting so close. Like, I like to sit in the back, but I'm not complaining about that either. Audrey likes to sit up front. Evidently, she picked a seat, so it was fine. I was just pissed off about the park. My mind is still on parking. So I finally settle in. And I start watching the film. I guess I only missed like the first 5 minutes, she told me. So I guess the film probably started late. And I start watching the movie, and all of a sudden, you know how they say art heals? So on the one hand, art healed me from all the bullshit of the day. All the fuckery that I had to deal with during this day. But to say that this was a healing film would be incorrect. This was a brutal film. I mean, it was beautiful because this story needs to be told. Like, anybody who has any kind of feelings about what's going on in Gaza, they need to watch this film. And I'm not going to, give you my opinions on it or anything like that, but if you want to see a very human story, if you want to meet a beautiful family, a family that loves one another deeply, a family of elders and children. You get to see kids in school, you get to see babies, you get to see elderly people, like everybody, and you see this precious love. And then this amazing friendship between this Israeli guy, journalist, and this Palestinian from Gaza. and they become friends. And the Israeli guy actually becomes friends with the whole family, but it was kind of interesting because also I think everybody was like, you get to leave anytime you want. We can't even leave here. Saying to the Israeli guy, the Jewish guy, like, you can leave. You can do whatever you want. Like, how can we really be friends when your people are coming in here and destroying our town? Because what this film was an occupation. Israeli soldiers coming in and basically, and again, I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm just giving you the facts of the film. You will see bulldozers. You will see trucks demolishing people's homes. Just demolishing them in the middle of the night, early in the morning, just random times, no warnings, no nothing. They just show up, rifles in tow, trucks, and they destroyed a school while the school was in session. They go into people's homes, just take everything out, like, get out of the way or you're going to die. We're taking your home down. That's it. Every day this would happen. Like, imagine living in a place where you can hear the trucks, you can see the lights at night, you just know it's happening. And you actually see people murdered. Like, you just see it. And it's not a fictional story. This is a real story. This is a documentary. It's kind of not a documentary, but I guess it is a documentary. Maybe it won Best Documentary, I don't know. But to me, it seemed like a narrative film, but a true story. But it was the actual real people, so maybe it was a documentary. I don't know. I'm a filmmaker, I should know that, but it kind of blurred the line for me. I think it was a documentary. It just made me feel like, you know what, Rock? You're parking, going to the wrong place, bad pancakes. I ordered real maple syrup. It was obviously not real maple syrup. Because you could tell when you have real maple syrup, it's not sticking to the plate. It's not going to stick to the plate. Fake maple syrup sticks to the plate. So I had to pay extra for that. So anyway, I'm like, Rock, man. Like, bad pancakes, crappy eggs, like shitty cheese on top of your eggs, parking, getting there late. Like, shut the fuck up. You ain't got no problems. I watched this movie and I'm like, you got nothing in your life to complain about. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I can't even describe. It was so uncomfortable watching this film, but I think every human being on the planet Earth should watch this film. Maybe not kids, because there was a lot of kind of graphic stuff going on in there, but everybody should watch this film. And it made me think of another film that I love so much that was one of the most difficult things to ever watch, but also one of the most beautiful stories of resilience. And that's what was up with this film too. Like, these people were laughing and smiling and playing on the swings and just doing things with their family together and telling jokes. And like, even when, horrific things were happening around them, they still somehow maintained their joy. I don't know how they did it. And I saw a movie years ago called Turtles Can Fly. Every human being on the planet Earth should see that film. If you want to see, you think like, an athlete who coming back from a sprained ankle is resilient? Come on. Watch Turtles Can Fly and get to meet these kids in this story. Now, I know Turtles Can Fly is not a true story, but it's based on a true story. And it's a very similar film to what I watched today. But today was, and also today is like the events of the day, I mean, recently, all I could think of the whole time was the current president of the United States saying that he wanted the United States to take over Gaza, to own Gaza, and turn it into a resort. Like I don't know, put in a golf course. I just kept thinking about that here, like these people in their homes. Their homes, where they live, where they raise their children, where they take care of their elders, where they have so much love. And they love their home. Everybody loves their neighborhood. Everybody loves their home. Nobody wants to leave their home. I mean, this conflict in the Middle East has been forever, right? Historic. Somebody got to figure it out. I have very strong opinions about it, but I'm not going to leave them here. It's not for this video, but I just do want to say that in terms of a work of art, I think it was epic. I think it was so brave. I think, the guy was shooting with a DSLR. You could see it was just some cheap DSLR. And the cinematography is not good, but it's amazing. The composition and the exposure and all that kind of stuff was horrible, but brilliant. Genius. Shooting under those kind of circumstances, to continue to do it every day, day after day, after another horrific event, where most people would leave and never come back, is the best kind of filmmaking, the best, most amazing kind of storytelling. I'm telling you, you should see that film. So, I don't know if it was a great day or a horrible day. I think it was a great day, because I think as human beings, we tend to, especially as privileged Americans, maybe that's all changing now. But, as Americans, it's easy for us to look at stuff like that from afar and say that we feel it and say that it's so difficult to see it when, Chicago's not getting attacked, New York City, Miami, LA, we're not getting bombed. Today, Ukraine, sent 300 drone strikes on in Russia today, and that's not that kind of stuff is not happening here. You know what I mean? We're not getting attacked by other countries, so it's easy for us to not really get it. You know what I'm saying? Not really, truly understand what that feels like, what that kind of existence is like, the kind of trauma that might bring to your day-to-day life, how it might color every relationship that you have and every step that you take. We don't know that. We can imagine, we can have empathy, but we don't know. We can't know. We can listen, we can watch. That's why this film is so important. It's so important. These guys were posting on Instagram all the time, and they were talking about how many likes they got, how many views they got, and I just thought, for the first time, I thought, wow, social media is so important, so meaningful. That's what they wanted. They just wanted the world to know, because they kept saying that corporate media would not report what was happening to families like this. I don't know why. I kind of think I do know why, but I'm not going to share that here. But that's what they were doing. They were just trying to raise awareness to what was happening. They just thought, for some reason, if enough people knew, then enough people would help. And enough people would put enough pressure on the powers that be to stop things. Like Tony Blair showed up there one day in this film. It is a documentary. Tony Blair showed up one day, and the next day there was no occupation for, I think, weeks after that. And they said, it was obvious that somebody like Tony Blair had power and was able to do something like that. So, anyway, I'm not going to make this overly long. There's other parts to this video. It's fun, it's interesting, but I wish for everybody to watch this film. It'll just make you a better human being. Put yourself out there and watch something that's not easy. I know a lot of people, they're like, that's not my thing, I'm not interested. Be interested. These are other human beings. And you know what? You might be next. You never know what's going to happen in this country right now. It's crazy. I mean, did you think... First of all, it's so funny to me. There are so many people who voted for the current president because of Gaza. They blamed it on Kamala Harris for some reason. And how's that looking now? This guy wants to own Gaza. As he said, he wants to support Israel so they can finish the job. And then he wants to, develop it. Not even thinking that there are people who live there. These are their homes. And I don't know. I'd be curious, for people who have this kind of perspective. If you watch this movie and you meet this family and these people in this film, I'm curious if you think, if you're a hardcore Zionist, Israel supporter, whatever, which is fine. I'm curious if you look at these people and think, man, all they want is to kill Jewish people. And I'm Jewish, so, you know, I know of what I speak. I know anti-Semitism. I've experienced it my whole life. But I wonder, like, this is just a loving family. They're no different than you. They're just like you. They're the way you are with your daughters and your sons, your elders, your mother, your father, your grandpa, your grandma. Like, they're the same. They go to school. They play on the swings. They have a playground. These Israeli soldiers actually put a demolition sign on a playground. What's up with that? So, yeah, pretty horrific. Pretty uncomfortable to watch, but I want you to watch it. I want you, my work is about that too. I'm very disruptive with my work. I'm trying to disturb you. But I will say that what I live by as an artist is in this film. Because no matter how bad things are, no matter how horrific, no matter what the level, the extent of disgustingness there is always something beautiful in every single story. You just have to be willing to look for it. You have to be human enough to say, this is killing me, but there's something beautiful there. And there is so much beautiful in this film. And I think maybe it was one of the hardest films, not maybe, one of the most difficult films for me to watch in my life ever. It was really hard. I think if you knew my friend Audrey, she would tell you I could not stop moving the whole film. I was really, like, the seats were uncomfortable for me, and my hip was kind of bothering me a little bit, but it was partially because I'm so sensitive. I'm like an empath, you know what I mean? Like, I feel everything in my chest, and I was already upset, but I just could not sit still. I'm not the kind of person who is stunned like this. I'm stunned like this. I'm always moving, and I just couldn't stop moving. I probably annoyed Audrey to death, but that's how I am in the movies sometimes. Like, if something's bothering me or something's inspiring me to think, to consider, it just makes me move. It's hard for me to sit still. So I hope you'll watch it. No Other Land. Really important work. And, yeah, pretty rough. I guess that's all I got to say about it. So, please subscribe. Please hit that like button. I guess that helps. Please know that I have a lot of affiliate links in my description. So if you need any gear, if you're interested in the gear that I use and stuff, you could see a list of it underneath. And if you do get it through my affiliate links, that helps me out. Doesn't cost you anything, so that's kind of cool. And please consider joining my Patreon. That's my lifeblood. It's my focus right now. I'm developing a new film that's based on a theater piece that I almost did a few years ago, but COVID shut it down. So I'm sharing the making of this movie. It's a feature-length film. And yeah, if you join my Patreon, you'll have access to that, but you'll also be supporting me and my work. So if you believe in me and if you're into that sort of thing of, supporting independent artists, which you should be, then yeah, consider my Patreon. I did something today, and I'm going to end the video with this. I was listening to WNYC. I was listening to the Brian Lehrer show, which I do pretty much every weekday of my life. That's public radio. NPR runs WNYC. So they depend upon the contributions of the public. It's public radio. They don't answer to any corporate entity. They tell the truth. And so today I decided, you know what? I'm kind of ashamed that I had a Amazon Prime subscription, because I left Facebook and Instagram because of one of those billionaires who are running everything and not fact-checking and overseeing everything in my life. So I completely deleted my Facebook and Instagram accounts. And today I left Amazon Prime, canceled my account, and gave that money to WNYC, who I was already supporting as a constant supporter, monthly supporter, sustaining member, as they say. But I added to it, so now I'm giving them a pretty significant amount of money from me, because I am broke ass. I am an artist who spends every penny of his life on his art. I'm living pretty much in the poverty level, But I'm okay. You know, like I said, I ain't got no problems, nothing. So I'm proud of that today. I left Bezos and I added to my support of WNYC and Brian Lair because I can't imagine a life without that information being available to me. I trust it, and that's hard to find these days. So, yeah, it's a good place to end.